Hello. This is Elizabeth Griffin, the Black Romance Writer, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please take a moment and do so, and definitely hit that notification bell so that anytime I upload a new video, whether it's morning, noon, or night, you'll be the first to know. And also, you can share my channel with others so that my platform grows and so that I can give you more videos talking about writing and the wonderful joy of romance. But until then, I appreciate a comment, a like, and a thumbs up. Let's talk culture. Let's talk race. Let's talk ethnicity. As a writer, are you interested in writing strong multicultural romances? Are you interested in crafting a story that has never been told before? Well, if you are, stay tuned. This video is going to focus on Leslie Esdale, who is an award-winning writer. She's also known as L.A. Banks, and she has a vampire series, The Huntress, which is doing phenomenal. It is groundbreaking. I am looking at her chapter in the book, How to Write a Romance for the New Market and Get It Published. This was written by Catherine Falk, and Leslie Esdale has a chapter entitled Stir Up a Strong Multicultural Romance. So let's dive in. Leslie says, stir up a pot full of multicultural gumbo with me, and you just might find you've got exactly the right recipe for publication. The author also goes to say, when considering the ingredients for a strong multicultural romance, much like stirring up a spicy gumbo, you must first start with the basics. The essence or stock of your story must have all the initial elements of a good read: a solid plot, heroes and heroines whom you root for, hoping they'll win, and ultimately a plausible story structure that moves quickly through beginning and middle to thrilling, victorious conclusion. Now, this may seem bland, too simplistic, leaving you asking, those are the ingredients of any good romance. So what makes a multicultural romance any different? Herein lies the art of adding cultural spice and flavor to your ethnic gumbo. Do you agree with Leslie Esdale? Do you agree with her words that all people have their own ethnicity and their own culture, and it is not defined solely by the color of their skin? Do you think that her detailed descriptions of the things that need to be done in order to write a realistic, believable, ethnic or multicultural romance are viable? Do you think that you should look beyond a person's color, look at their heritage, at their lineage, where they came from, their origin, their birth origin, and that those things factor into the person that you're writing about, your characters, your hero or your heroine? Let's continue this chapter and see what other insightful things Leslie Esdale has to say. She goes on to mention, once the story has been outlined and plotted, and long before you give your characters a color shade or hue, begin by focusing on the 5 primal senses. What does the culture dialogue sound like? What does the cultural environment or the cultural food smell like? What does it taste like? What do the people who make up the culture look like? What do the textures of their lives feel like? Sight, sound, taste, smell, feel. Factoring in these elements give your multicultural characters full-body dimensions that ring true without having to refer back to their skin color or their appearance. When you, as the author, rely on the 5 senses when describing your characters, this will allow you to fully create and flesh out your characters. You will be paying attention not only to their skin complexion, but to the way they speak, their pattern of speech, how old they are, what is their background, are they educated, have they completed high school, what is the setting of your story? Is the setting significant to the characters themselves? Does it reflect upon their ethnicity in some way? As you craft your story, you are going to be asking yourself multiple questions about different characters, and you need to come up with answers. Leslie Esdell gives an example when talking about the African American experience in one of her stories. She says, "I shift dialogue based upon the subtleties of age. Older women and men come from a different era. Thus, their speech patterns may reflect older, more Southern-based colloquialism than their younger, Northern-educated counterparts. Their phraseology may seem cryptic and parabolistic, utilizing many biblical references, such as, 'Child, you're going to have to wait on the Lord.' Or an older person might quip, 'Honey, you better let sleeping dogs lie.' Where a younger person may say, 'Girlfriend, this is too deep. You'll have to wait to find out what the deal is. Until then, leave that man alone.' Cadence, sentence structure, identifiable reference points. This is a subtle blend." The author, Leslie Esdell, also goes on to point out other differences between the ages of the characters, such as their socioeconomic status, their cultural beliefs, the types of foods that the older generation would eat, perhaps chitlins and collard greens, whereas the younger people may be vegetarians or vegans. There are so many ways in which to show ethnicity and the differences in characters when writing a multicultural romance without solely focusing on the color of a person's skin. Also, familiarize yourself with the environment. Familiarize yourself with the people. Look at YouTube videos. Look at popular shows. Read popular books. Expose yourself to the culture that you want to write about. Feel comfortable. Get comfortable around these people and the environment, and you will learn so much. Check out different cooking shows so that you can see the ethnic cuisine of a particular race of people. Also, check out news programs and magazines that are geared or targeted to a specific ethnic group. Expose yourself to the culture. Read the popular books that are being written in a particular area. Look at biographies. There is so much you can do to familiarize yourself and to be comfortable around the ethnic group that you want to write about. Also, ask yourself certain questions. Why do you want to write this particular story? What are you trying to say about this particular group? What are you trying to convey to your reading audience? Ask yourself as many questions as possible so that you know the motives and the reasons why this particular story is important to you. I'll give you an example. I have a book entitled Scrubbalicious, and it is a fairy tale of sorts, and the main character is from India. He's from northern India, and I have no idea of how people live in that region or that part of the world. But I was fortunate enough to have a coworker who is from India. And she introduced me to the food, to the cuisine, to the dress, to the cultural garb, to the religion, to their sayings, to a lot of their beliefs, to her upbringing, to her education. And I internalized this. And I also did research. And whenever I wasn't sure about something, I came back to her and I asked her questions, specific questions, detailed questions. And I took lots of notes. And the end result is a wonderful book, and I'm humble bragging. It is a very good read, and it is based in authenticity. And definitely check out the audiobook and the ebook. It's entitled Scrubbalicious. But the point of what I'm saying is that in research and in interacting with people from a particular race, you will get the authenticity you need to tell your story. One final note about Leslie Esdell. I was fortunate enough to meet her in the 1990s, the late 90s, and She was featured at the Celebration of Black Writing, which is an annual event that is held every February in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And originally it was hosted by Robin's Bookstore, but later on, the Art Sanctuary took over the celebration. Let me also say that I was featured as a new writer at that time. So Leslie Esdell, myself, and other romance writers were all in a minivan, and we were all talking about writing, and I was just so entranced and so thrilled to be surrounded by all these famous romance writers. And I would listen to them as they talked about future writing retreats that they were going to have, and some events where they were going to mingle for, I believe, the weekend with their reading audience. And as I said, this was a beautiful time for me. And Leslie Esdell shared her wisdom. She was so gracious to me. And I was fortunate enough to even go to her book signings when she introduced her Vampire Huntress series, which features an African-American vampire huntress. So please, please check out her work. And if you do not appreciate paranormal, there are other books under other genres that she has written. And she goes by the name of, as I said, Leslie Esdell, Leslie E. Banks, Leslie Banks, Leslie Esdell Banks, and L.A. Banks, which is the name that the Vampire Huntress series is under. So please check out her audiobooks, her ebooks, and support her legacy. Unfortunately, she passed away, but her books are here for you to enjoy, and the money will go towards her family. So thank you, Leslie Esdell, for brightening up my life, for sharing your time with me, because you didn't have to do it, and I'm forever appreciative. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope it has been useful. And as always, thank you. Thank you for coming to my platform. Thank you for taking a moment to spend time with me and to help me express and convey the joy I get in talking about writing. And until next time, I'm wishing you love, peace, joy, and happiness, as always. Bye-bye.